Hi all my beanie weenies and welcome back to my channel. This is of course Hotdogs and we are here for another installment of The Sims for the Traitors. And we are inching closer and closer to our finale, and we see that entering the breakfast room this morning is Eva and Gunther. Could one of them be a traitor? Now, this has to be probably one of my most exciting episodes of the season, apart from the finale, of course, as later on a traitor will be revealed. So stay tuned for that. We see that things aren't really the best this morning. No one is in a really good mood. Gunther seems to want to keep to himself, doesn't really want to be involved, and Eva seems to be a bit upset, but they're not left in there alone for long, as we see Dawn and Eric are also entering. Neither of them have been murdered last night, and they provide the breakfast for everyone else. But it seems as though, everyone's not in the best of mood, especially Dawn. Dawn is stomping in there, angry and ready to fight. He sits down and instantly decides to move away from the rest of the group. Maybe he's annoyed with Gunther, most likely he's annoyed with Eva for whatever reason, and he ends up scooting over and talking to Eric on their own. But in the Traitor's Castle, you can't really get any alone time. We see that once he starts venting, it doesn't take very long for Eva to scoot over and try to listen in on the conversation.
Naba. Daraboo! Neva?
Now Eva seems to crack a couple jokes and make Dawn feel a little bit better, but it doesn't last that long, as next to enter the breakfast room is Jeb and Lily. Now Jeb grabs some food, however Lily fills up the punch bowl and grabs herself a drink, but she, along with a lot of the other people, are walking in the breakfast room pissed off. Now, I kind of think they're all frustrated. They know that there's traitors still in the castle. Another one of them have been murdered, and the Sims are very dwindling down one by one. As they get closer to the finale, it looks as though the traitors might win, and honestly, the best way to get a traitor out is by arguing with them. So as soon as she sits down, she begins to argue with Dawn. Maybe she believes Dawn is a traitor.
Sawata, Bima, Seneca Belinda Grinia. Please. Fuzak. Oh, Stevie.
Now, I feel like the strategy in the Sims Traitors is a lot harder than the actual traitors because, one, you do want to get along with everyone, that way you do not get voted for at the square table vote, but also if you're not arguing with people, you're most likely going to end up getting a faithful out of the house. And, I'm sure the traitors are not going to stick their necks out of the way in order to cause a conflict. That way they won't get votes at the square table room, but I don't know, it's all a bit complicated. We'll have to see if this Lily and Dawn argument leads to a faithful or a traitor heading home. Dawn escorts himself out of the breakfast room and talks himself down in a mirror before re-entering. And as he re-enters, we also have two more Sims arriving. That is, of course, Sienna and Jess. Neither of them have been murdered last night. Alright, and our last Sim to arrive, our 9th Sim, is Thorn. Thorn has survived another night. But is he a faithful, or did he just get done murdering someone else? Now, all 9 of our Sims are here, no arguments to be had right now, as most of them are probably mourning their fellow faithful. And of course, Hotdogs has to arrive to deliver the news. Alright, last night our 3 traitors have done the duty of killing one of the faithfuls. And of course, that faithful is none other than Ian. Now, Ian was a very interesting house guest. I mean, he didn't really get into that much drama, and I actually thought out of all the Sims to kind of solve who would be a traitor, it would be him. So that's probably why they decided to kill him off. But you have to go back and think, did he argue with anyone? Was he not liking anyone? Because the traitors do decide who they're going to murder by who they are least closest to. So, of course, I feel like the easiest way to figure out who a traitor is by going back and seeing just who the murdered victim was talking to last. And then maybe you'll be able to figure it out. Now, last night, Ian was hanging out by himself by the fire pit outside of the church, you know, cozying up, having a nice time when the three traitors arrived to end it all.
Sure.
And like I always say, if you want to download Ian and continue his story, they are all available on the Sims 4 gallery at Sims Hotdogs. But that is Ian gone. We now know he was a faithful, and only 9 Sims remain, and 3 of them are traitors. So it's really dwindling down, and it is not looking too good for our faithfuls. They're really going to have to step it up in order to figure out who the traitors are. And of course, we have another square table vote tonight, where they're all going to vote for who they think a traitor is. Will they be successful? Probably not, but you never know. Good luck to them. They do have a couple of hours remaining in the castle to figure everything out. But with that, Hotdogs is out of here, heading back to his turret, and he will return when it's time to vote. Now, while everyone goes their separate ways, it looks as though Jess's main priority this afternoon is cleaning up the castle, and she's not too pleased with everyone else's efforts. Meanwhile, outside in the courtyard, Sienna does a little bit of yoga by herself. Again, now, they all love to go and do their own thing. It's not the smartest thing to do. If anything, they need to go around and start arguing with people. And I think she kind of gets that idea. After a couple of stretches, she ends up going back into the breakfast room where most of our other Sims are. We see Dawn and Thorn are talking and hanging out. Dawn doesn't look like he's too angry anymore and is being comforted by Thorn. Of course, the two fuckboys are BFFs, naturally. Meanwhile, in the library, we see that Lily and Eric are pondering some moves over the chess table. Now, the chess table is a huge sort of hub in the Traitors' Castle. I feel like everyone gathers there to bond and to scheme and to talk about who they think traitors are. Meanwhile, our two fuckboys are, of course, playing football inside the breakfast room. You know, they can't go outside to do this. They have to do it right in the middle, right around my valuable china and knights armor and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, that's great and annoying. Hopefully, the football doesn't head into the fireplace. Meanwhile, everyone else is kind of mingling, looking around. Honestly, it looks as though they're looking for clues or something. And of course, Jeb is sticking his hands inside the punch bowl, naturally. I think I honestly would vote out Jeb just for his hygiene issues. And now Lily is taking turn at the chess table with Eva, but of course that doesn't last very long either. Everyone's just kind of getting up, moving around, they can barely have a conversation with one another, you know, the usual Sims 4 technical issues. As Gunther sits down to read, as he always does, he barely ever communicates with anyone. He just kind of sits on his own and reads. A little sus, if you ask me. We see that Sienna and Eva continue their bonding. Now, in the last couple episodes, the two of them have started to form a friendship, and it looks as though that is continuing and getting stronger and stronger every day. Will that actually help out in the game, or are they just putting blinders on each other and not seeing that the other is a traitor? We'll have to wait and find out. Meanwhile, back in the breakfast room, it looks as though Jeb and Thorn are getting along and bonding as well. Again, where are all the fights? I think next time I do a traitor season, I'm going to have to do more club activities. Now, I do have a club for the traitors, and they all share a common interaction that they like to do, and maybe throughout the season, if once you learn who the traitors are, you can go back and kind of see what that is. But I think next time they're gonna have to be a bit more argumentative and put more heat on them, a bigger radar on their back. That way it'll be a little bit easier for the faithfuls. I don't know, again, I'm trying to tweak it and see if we do this again, how I can make the game better. I would love your guys' input, so let me know down below what you think I should do if we ever do a season 2. In the billiards room, we see that Dawn, Eva, Jeb, Thorn, Sienna, Lily, everyone is gathering to get a little bit of dancing going on. A little bit of a party has broken out in the billiards room. It's fun to see, however, again, not very helpful for the game. All of them seem to be more concerned with having a good time than solving the, the riddle of who is a traitor. We see that Gunther is still not joining in. He just keeps moving from chair to chair and reading his book. Meanwhile, Jess is still continuing to clean up after everyone. You know, this to me is kind of sus activities. Both of them are very discreet. They're both not bonding with anyone. They're kind of keeping to themselves. Maybe it's guilt, you know? Maybe they don't have to face other faithfuls after they've done so much murdering. And the same goes for Jeb. I mean, he's been wearing a paper bag over his face the whole time. No one can really tell what he thinks. He's sneaking off by himself to drink alone. You know, all of that is kind of sus behavior to me. Meanwhile, upstairs, we do have a music room that hardly anyone has been in this whole season. They usually end up stopping halfway in that hallway to play the music and to dance, and they never actually make it down to the music room. We see that Thorn is showing off his talent, showing off why he's famous other than flirting with everyone, and is playing the piano while Lily and Jess listen along beside him. However, we see that Dawn is back in an aggressive mood and is starting arguments with Eva. Is he trying to figure out if she is a traitor, or is he just an asshole? We'll have to wait and find out about that. But, you know, it's nice to see Thorn actually showing off his talents, other than kissing and woohooing. I feel like that's like a shock. I'm like, what, you're actually known for something else? And of course, naturally, it looks as though that little tiny argument that was starting between Dawn and Eva has settled down, and the two of them seem to be getting along once again. Now, while most of our Sims are here in the music room, over in the private bedroom with the hookah, we see Sienna and Eric are hanging out one-on-one, and it seems to be getting a little steamy, and I don't think it's just because of the bubble blower. Alright, too many of them are getting along, and I'm over it personally. So why don't we fast forward a little bit and go on and head into the square table room where our Sims are gonna gather and vote for who they think is a traitor, or most likely just vote out another faithful. We'll have to wait and see.
Noosh noosh.
Alright, welcome everyone to another vote here in the square table room, where of course we're going to vote based on your relationship statuses. We're going to go around the table, and whoever you are least closest to is who you are going to vote out of the castle. We're going to go ahead and start with Lily, and of course get a little peek at her relationship statuses. And based off of that, Lily has voted for Thorn to leave the castle. That is one vote for Thorn, and next up to vote is Sienna. And Sienna has also voted for Thorn, giving Thorn 2 votes. Next up to vote is Jess. And thankfully, she's not crazy right now. Alright, and Jess has voted for Eva, giving her her first point. So far, Thorn has 2, Eva has 1, and Jeb is the next up to vote. Alright, and Jeb has voted for Eric, giving Eric his first point and tying him with Eva. Let's see if Eric returns the favor. And the two of them have kind of been going after one another the past couple square table votes. So I'm not too surprised to see that Eric, of course, also votes for Jeb. Now, these two are going at it, and I have to think maybe one of them actually is a traitor. Next up to vote is going to be Thorn. Let's see if he returns the favor of either of his 2 votes. And based on that, he of course does and votes for Lily. Alright. And now we are going to see who Dawn votes for. And Dawn has voted for Gunther, giving Gunther his first vote. Almost all of our Sims have gotten at least 1 vote against them, except for Thorn, who is still in the lead with 2 points. Let's see if Gunther's vote changes anything. And Gunther has returned the favor and voted for Dawn, again keeping it going where everyone almost has 1 vote against them, and Eva is our last to vote. Alright, not only does Eva make it official by voting for Jess, everyone has gotten at least 1 vote against them, but Thorn is still in the lead with 2 votes, meaning that Thorn has been voted out of the castle. Thorn, please head up here and reveal if you are a faithful or a traitor. And Thorn is, of course, a faithful. He might not have been faithful towards his wife this whole series, as he's been cheating on her the entire time, but he was faithful in the game. Of course, they've only been voting out faithfuls this whole season, and this is no different. And as he marches out of the castle, you'd think we would be ending the episode here at his not so sad departure. I mean, I'm kind of sad he's going just because of all the romance mischief, but we still have Dawn. So, you know, it's not like we're low on a fuckboy. We still have another one that we have wandering around and woohooing with everything in the castle. But, you know, our one big celebrity is now out of here, and we are now down to 8 Sims, 3 faithfuls. It is not looking good for everyone, but I do have a twist that might help out the faithfuls. As up in the turret, our traitors are gathering. And tonight, there's a twist. Of course, they will be murdering a faithful per usual, but they're also going to be murdering someone else. Now, as our traitors gather around a cauldron full of bubbling macaroni and cheese, Hotdogs, of course, has to arrive to deliver the twist of the night. Now, again, they will be murdering a faithful, but first they have to murder one of their own. Now, in just a moment, all of them will vote. If it is a 3-way tie, no one will be murdered. But if 2 of the Sims vote for another traitor, that traitor will be murdered. Now, of course, I can't show you who they're voting for. I can't really show you the relationship statuses, as that will reveal everyone's identity. But we are going to look privately and see just who they vote for. And it doesn't look like Hotdogs is too happy about this twist. I don't think he wants his traitors to be, you know, let go. He wants to keep them around forever. But honestly, with the rate of everything, how many faithfuls are leaving, it is just not fair. And hopefully we can get rid of one of them tonight. And it looks as though we will be, as 2 of the traitors have decided to vote off Jess. That's right, Jess has been a traitor all along, but she won't be a traitor for much longer as now she has been murdered. Now, Jess does try to fight back. In doing so, she ends up learning that she dislikes spirited sims, which could be a hint at the other traitor's identity. Now, I feel like that's the traitor in her to fight back, to try to not be murdered. You know, she's been fighting this whole game, but it is 2 against 1, and even though the other traitor seems to be upset about doing this act, he still goes along and finishes the deal, leaving Jess dead, shot, murdered, and out of the game for good. But it is not over for our traitors, as now they have to decide amongst the 2 of them who they want to murder from the faithfuls. Now, what do you think about Jess being a traitor, her identity being revealed? Can you go back and see any hints and clues that she was a traitor all along? Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know who you are hoping survives the night. It's been a crazy episode, and to top it all off, we only have 3 episodes left of the season. Are our faithfuls going to be able to pull it out now that there's only 2 traitors to worry about? Or are they still doomed to fail and our traitors are going to win? Or will our traitors turn amongst each other? Because it looks as though they weren't really happy about the decision that got made tonight. You'll have to wait and see, then all will be revealed in the next coming up episodes. And until then, I'll see you later. Bye.